You cannot beat consistency. The person who does what they're supposed to do day after day, regardless of how they feel, is going to be the person who wins. The people who are the most successful in the real world are the people who wake up every day and work. If you're the person who wakes up, does work, is fantastic at it, but then takes 3 days off, you're going to lose. They say that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and it's completely true. You have to be consistent. You have to decide. Are you the kind of person who wants to make a lot of money in this life and live a life of freedom? Or are you the kind of person who wants to look back when he's 30 on his 20s or 40 on his 30s and look at that decade and go, what did I do with that decade? Well, I didn't get rich. I didn't travel the world and live like they do in Tate Confidential. What did I do? Well, I had a day off here, a day off there, a bunch of nothing days that amalgamate into this decade of nothingness, and you're just wasting your time. If you want to win, you need to be consistent. You don't need to be the smartest, not at all, but you have to be the guy who's there day after day. And I will guarantee you right now, IQ has nothing to do with how successful you'll be as a real world student. What is going to determine how successful you're going to be is, are you there every single day? Are you doing what you're supposed to do day after day? I can also apply this to sales. I knew guys who were terrible on the phone. Back in my day on sales, you used to have to call companies. I was smooth, I was the best. We had some other guys who were smooth. They'd land a deal, go buy a nice car, whatever, take a few days off, take it easy. We had people who were terrible. And when I say terrible, I mean they had a thick Indian accent, didn't speak English that well, didn't know the script that well, didn't know the answers, but they were always in the top 20% of the company because they just hammered the phone. They just were on it. They needed to feed their family in Bangladesh. They didn't give a fuck. They were just calling. That's it, day after day. When you're on lunch break, he's on the phone. You can win with hard work alone. And that's what's amazing about the universe when I say that. God will give you anything you truly want. If you truly want money and you truly try hard, and you truly listen to us, you are going to have as much money as you could possibly ever desire. But if you think you want money, but you kind of want something else, or if you're arrogant, or if you're lazy, you're going to end up somewhere in the middle if you're lucky and talented. And if you're not talented, you're going to end up at the bottom.
You should be able to close your mind and imagine the life you want to live so viscerally, so to the point where you can taste it, so that this reality, the one outside of your mind, feels like nothing but a prelude, a ramp, which allows you to get where you want to go. The mind is that powerful. If you ask any champion of anything, they always envision themselves as champion all of the time. And the reason they do that is, one, so they feel confident, but two, so that if they don't become champion, they're more angry and more motivated for the next attempt to ensure that they do become champion. So that's the mentality and the mindset you have to have. Your mind is your number one ally in all things. A lot of you have been sabotaged internally by your own mind. Your own psyche is working against you.
People often say to me, oh, but Tate, you're lucky, you're a kickboxer and you were talented. Yeah, I was talented, but I didn't find out I was talented until I was disciplined. If I wasn't disciplined enough to train, I would have never seen my talent. So you don't get to discover anything about yourself. You don't get to discover anything about who you are as an individual, your spirit, your soul, what you're made of. Without discipline, you can't even discover anything. Discipline teaches you all about yourself. It teaches you what you really have. You know, there's a whole bunch of people out there that might be the best pianist in the world, but they've never had the discipline to learn piano. So nobody knows. I make millions and millions of dollars and people look at me and go, oh, but how? And I'm like, what do you mean how? Do the right things every day like you're supposed to, on time, every day, and life usually comes together. I really believe that. If you're disciplined and you have willpower, that can be applied to absolutely anything. I had willpower when I was playing chess. I had willpower when I was kickboxing to make sure I trained as hard as humanly possible to become a 4-time world champion. I had willpower when I had a house full of 75 women, when I refused to sleep with them and kept my mind focused on the money. So it's all about self-control and self-discipline and making sure that you are the center of your own universe. And a lot of people agree with this and a lot of people say this, but it's very rare to meet someone who's serious about it. If you're truly serious about brute willpower, you could achieve anything. And the reason nobody has discipline anymore is because it's not taught. Discipline isn't taught. And we also live in a world where everything and everybody is vying for our attention. There's ads everywhere. YouTube happens quickly. Kids are being raised with iPads. Like when I was a kid or you were a kid, we had a coloring book. How do you think you're going to keep his attention as he grows old? He's been entertained by some of the best software developers in the world permanently. So your attention's very, very difficult. And that's what discipline is, really. It's the ability to stay focused on one thing for a long period of time. Most people don't realize how bad their attention span is or how much discipline they lack until they really start to suffer from it. But as a man, if you don't have the ability to knuckle down and focus on something for a long time, life's gonna punish you. And the reality of mastery and the reality of success is that it's not really a glamorous story. Like, how do you become the best boxer in the world? You do the same thing over and over for 15 years. Like, it's boring. That's what discipline is. So the idea that a lot of people want to be constantly entertained, well, that's why you need discipline. People want to be constantly motivated. I train every single day and I'm never motivated, but I'm disciplined. I've been training my whole life. I'm bored of it, but it's something that has to be done. So the idea of entertainment, the idea of motivation, these things are completely detrimental to discipline. I don't care if you feel like doing X. You must do X or you will stay a loser.
Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter if you lose if you tried your best. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose. If you genuinely try your best all of the time, all day, every day, it's impossible to lose. God is watching and he rewards those who want it the most. If you want it the most, you can have it. Every dollar you want, the house you want, the car you want, other people want. You have to want it the most and genuinely do your best, because most people aren't capable of doing their best anymore. That is the secret. You cannot fail if you try your best. So if you don't have the car you want, the woman you want, the house you want, you haven't been trying your best, because I guarantee you the second you do, you'll have all of it. Oh, but I need time to myself. Oh, but it's the evening. Or, it's hyper competitive. There's a guy in Islamabad who'll do your job online for $3 an hour and he doesn't sleep. You're going to lose. If you just want to relax, that's fine. But you're competing against people who just don't want to relax, and you're going to lose. If you were to take somebody who says, I'm doing my best, I'm really trying, and you were to get an exact schedule of their last week and find all the times they've wasted time, most of those people are not even self-reflective enough to go, you're right, I'm not trying my best. You know what they'd say? Well, I have to have a social life. I have to, oh, you're crazy. And then they go back to being a loser. They don't give a solitary fuck. And even if you pointed it out to them, they'd sit there and go, oh yeah, and they'd make some excuse for it. So if you're not the person who's waking up every day going, how do I improve my existence? Then nobody on the planet is considering improving your one spin on Earth. So if you don't care, then you're fucked. I don't believe there's a person on the planet who pays attention, tries their best, works hard, has a mentor, and is giving it his all, who isn't rich. And if you don't have any money, you're missing one of those key elements. Now, you can fool yourself and you can fool everyone else, but if you're truly honest with yourself, am I finding people who are trying to teach me what I want to know, and am I trying my best? Think about it. Have you ever been to the gym and seen a person in fantastic physical condition, and you say to them, how did you get so big and strong? And they say, I don't know. Or have you ever found a really rich man and said, how did you become rich and successful? And he goes, I just woke up one day and it kind of happened and now I'm living my dream life. No, there is a very detailed plan and roadmap. You have to design your dream life. Who's your woman going to be? Is she blonde? Is she brunette? What car are you going to drive? You can design your dream car right now, and you can choose the color. You can choose the wheels. You can choose the carb. How much does it cost to the dollar? You don't even know what your dream life is. How do you expect to get to a destination when you don't know where you're going? If you lose, you deserve to lose because you didn't take action. If you take action, you will win.
A lot of people constantly asking me similar sounding questions about some degree of doubt that they seem to have in their mind when it comes to their capabilities or their intentions. There's so many people who doubt themselves or doubt what they're capable of doing. And your mind, at least, needs to be an absolute monarch. I cannot remember the last time I won anything unless I was winning by force. There's no easy ride to the end. There's no democratic, smooth sailing, fair election, liberal, bullshit versus conservative, we won the vote, crap, to the end goal. You're only ever gonna win by force. So even if you're living in the West, when you understand you're living in a false democratic system, your mind must be an absolute monarchy where your commands are instantly obeyed and you instantly comply with your own mind. If your mind says, I'm going to train today, your body must instantly comply with the overlord, which is your intention. You know, people talk about motivation all the time, and I'm tired of getting asked this fucking question. Let me explain something to you about motivation. If you
felt like doing something and you didn't do it, you were never motivated. How you feel has absolutely nothing to do with motivation. Motivation can be measured purely by the action in and of itself. Did you take action? If so, you were motivated enough to do it. Even if you didn't want to do it, even if you hated the idea of doing it and was resentful about the fact you had to do it, that is motivation.
Because when you look at words like procrastination, they give big fancy titles for this. What procrastination is essentially is wanting and needing and knowing that you must do something and disobeying yourself. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world, because if you can't listen to yourself, how do you expect anyone else to ever listen to you? If you can't listen to your own commands, you have no chance of having authority over everybody else, because people can smell it. They can tell a dosser when they see one.
So in a democratic society, if you're unhappy with your ruler, you simply try and vote for somebody else, assuming democracy is real, which we know it isn't. In a kingdom, in an absolute monarchy, if you're unhappy with your ruler or you're unhappy with the country, you leave. And I think men at home today need to be absolute monarchs over their lives, and anyone who's unhappy with your leadership has every right to leave. Let's imagine this. You're an absolute monarch of your life. You say what you want to do, you say how you want it to be, you say how you're going to live, you get it done. If a woman decides to stick by you with your absolute instruction and command, then she believes in your leadership. If she leaves you because you are not bending or breaking to her will, because it is an absolute monarchy that you own, that she is living within, then you're going to find yourself very, very lonely. So a great way to measure your capability as a man is to wake up and say, this is the life I want to live, this is how I'm going to live it, this is what I'm going to do, and see who's sticking around beside you afterwards. So you can live with absolute monarchy and reign as a king, and you're going to find out a lot about your capability, not only from women, but from men too. What men want to stick by you when you say, look, this is how I'm going to live my life, this is what needs to be done, this is the life I'm going to live. If you're going to have the mentality of a democracy and start sitting around with your girlfriend or your friends and talking about what maybe should you do, you're now spending all your potential energy infighting in a bullshit civil war instead of actually focusing on the tasks at hand. And this is why people fail. Monarchies are built on the faith in the king himself. Democracies are actually based on the forever promise of a better future. Democracies are based on the fact that you have an idiot ruling you now, but don't worry, you get to get rid of the idiot and replace him with somebody competent later. And of course, another idiot wins, and you get told, don't worry, at the next chance, you get to get the idiot out. A king has an obligation to his constituents, which is why you need the mindset of a king for the exact same reason. You now have an obligation to the people who believe in you. You now have an obligation to yourself. You can no longer delay it. You can no longer procrastinate. You can no longer live in the promise of a better tomorrow, of a perfect future. There is right now, and you have obligations you must fulfill. By fulfilling your obligations to yourself, you default fulfill your obligations to everybody who believes in you and cares about you and loves you and relies on you. You're not trying to get strong and get rich just to buy dumb shit. You're doing that because you owe it to yourself. You're doing that because it's going to please your ancestors and please God and please the universe. And by extension, you are automatically going to become more valuable to everybody else who believes in you, which strengthens your kingdom, strengthens your absolute authority. And there are some times in life as a man, you need absolute authority to be effective. If this house sets on fire, I need to be able to say to my woman, get up, run. I don't have time for her to say why. Where's the fire? Maybe you can put it out. My friend's boyfriend didn't yell at her like that. There's no time. I gave a command and I expect to be obeyed because it allows me to save her life and mine. If you do not have absolute authority over the people you are providing and protecting, you are not actually effective as a leader at all.
What you have to look at is the price that you pay for procrastination and the price you pay for a lack of assertiveness in your life. In England, this dream of, oh, it's going to get better under this guy. Oh, we can vote him out. Let's get better under this guy. Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, David Cameron, and we just run through this endless series of morons. The price you pay is a wasted life because we only get one spin at this. And if you throw it away, you've thrown everything away.
There's nothing more beautiful than absolute accountability as a man. Absolute accountability for all things, both the good and the bad, to blame absolutely everything on themselves. I promise you, If you stop making excuses, you stop waiting and praying for some kind of better future, and you wake up every day and say, all of the good in my life is my fault, and all of the bad in my life is my fault, and I'm the only one who can fix this. It's never going to get better by itself. It's never going to be easy. I have to win by force. I must force myself and my mind to brutally perform. There is a degree of comfort that comes when you understand that the power is within your own hands. I like monarchies because I like that there is a ruler, and all the good and all the bad that happens is one person's fault. In your life, that should be you. In the country you live in, it should be somebody you have faith in. You're not going to argue with yourself about what mentality you should have or how you should implement a mindset to be most combatively effective if you're already working the best. You're not going to doubt your mind if you're already massively successful in all realms. How can you tell me that my mindset is wrong and the way I think and act is not the correct way to be a man if I ruthlessly outperform everybody? Why would I want the mentality of these little trolls who nobody even knows who they are? Why would I want to adopt the thinking of sad losers when I can be a competent, capable, and happy winner? If you start to succeed in the way you need to succeed, you will no longer doubt your thinking patterns. Why would you go to a therapist and beg them to change the way you think and feel if it was leading you to where you wanted to go? If the way you thought and the way you felt, even if it wasn't a positive feeling, was giving you the results that you wanted, you would still want to retain that mindset. Isn't it beautiful for a man to turn up, try his absolute best, and be completely responsible for the results? There is nothing better as a man than to turn up and get a fair shot. You should want as a man to be judged for who you are and what you're capable of. You want to just say, here's who I am, this is what I can do, give me a fair chance. And you want to be the kind of man who says, if I have a fair chance, I'm going to win because I believe I can work harder than everybody else.